I looked for file systems. You see, I was looking for file systems, and I found, well, you could find out a lot. This one is good. You could, I'm doing a movie with this. You could see it after this. Okay, you're gonna see the links. Well, that's the way you could find out information. You could go to YouTube and so on and so forth. So that's something which I just took for you. You could take it from the movie which I'm doing at the moment. Okay. Now, what else? Let's open our VirtualBox and let's first delete the clone. I don't need it now. I just wanted to show it to you. Remember, when I delete it like this, it's not, we cannot find it anymore. It's gone. Now I'm going to start my Windows 10. By the way, before I started it, actually, let me stop it first. So if I would like to stop something hardly like this, I click on the cross and I need to click power off the machine. Okay? I need to click like this, otherwise it won't be stopped really. And when you open the settings, some of the settings will be blurred. You cannot be able to access them. So that's the way to hardly stop it. Most of the time, try to stop it through the start menu, through the start button. Now, let's see. Let's see how we could add more hard drives to this disk, because further we might need to have more. So I just click right on this and I'll go settings, or I just click on this and go settings here on the top. It's the same. I go to the storage and you see that's my hard drive which I have. 50 gigabyte virtual size. The actual size at the moment is about 10 gigabyte. Dynamically allocated, if you remember, and that's where it is. Remember, we spoke already about that. Now, if I would like to add more, the way I do it, you see, I go here to the controller where it says, you know already what is a controller. This is part of the motherboard, which has a specifically designed way to connect to the device. In that case, that would be the hard drives. Okay, and this hard drive actually might be connected through a cable or might be connected through another way. Okay, now just before show you this, actually, I could. If I hover over these small icons, you see I could add additional optical drive, and I could add additional hard drive. That's the way I'm going to add the hard drive. But something more, I forgot to show you before, and that's a good thing to know. You see, when I click on this guy here, remember we added this way. We added our Windows ISO image, but you know, if I would have here a CD or DVD. I could have here, well, it's not shown now because I don't have the device. But if I would have the device here, I could actually insert a media directly from the CD. So it's not necessarily then to use the ISO. I could use a real CD, but I don't have the tray here. I don't have the device. You understand what I'm saying, right? Let me see actually on my home. If I go to the USBs. I could add USBs from here, you see, and I could put a real USB on my computer, and I could add it to my virtual machine through this interface, the same way. Let's just, so on my home machine, on my home computer, my DVD drive is this one. DVD RW, actually it's a DVD rewritable, it's not a Blu-ray. Here, that's the one, it has the letter D, okay? So, when I click here on the icon, when I click on the CD and I click on the icon, you see I have the host drive D. So basically, if I would have put something there, if I click here, I could boot from it as well. Okay, which is as well as if I put a USB, I could start from the USB as well. That's what we're gonna do the next time. In addition, actually, we're gonna emulate the USB because I don't have USBs with me. Okay, but we're gonna emulate and we're gonna boot from this USB so you guys to see how the system's booting from USB. Okay, we're gonna do it the next time. Okay, that's if I would like to add the storage, I click on the controller. SATA means serial ATA. Okay, there was in the beginning it was parallel interface, then it becomes serial. It's faster. That's what you need to know about this. And then I go and I do add a hard disk. Now you see it's starting from the same wizard we've been doing before, just part of it. So I could choose an existing disk if I already has been created one, but I'm gonna create new one. I could create VDA, VDI, VHD, VMDK. Remember, these were the VirtualBox, that was the Hyper-V, and that was for VMware. I'm gonna stick to the VirtualBox. I'll do next. Dynamically allocated fixed size, no problem. The same thing. I'll do next. And now I don't need 50 gigabyte for this. I'll say 5. And you see, well, it's just for the lab. I don't need to do so many. And it says here, VirtualBox VMS, new groups, Win10, new virtual disk. So actually, wherever my real, my virtual machine is, in my, sorry, it's in new volume D, VirtualBox VMSs, new group. Remember, that's my Windows 10. Now, it will be created here. That's what it says. New virtual disk, it will be called new virtual disk 1. And it will have the VDI, .VDI, because we've chosen this. And it will be 5 gigabyte big, dynamically allocated. So I'll do create, and here it is. The new virtual disk just appeared, and as you see, it's 2 megabyte. Create it again. So I already have one disk added, and I see it here. Now, notice, remember, wherever, if you have several disks, the one which is on the top, this is the one you could boot from. So the operating system is supposed to be on the toppest one, here on the VirtualBox. That's very important to remember. Because if you do something, I'll show it to you right away. Here, I'm going to create a new disk. Click again. Create new disk. VDI again, next. Dynamically allocated, next. Now, you see it's giving me the same name. And I'm going to choose 5 gigs again. And I'll click create. Well, the disk, the name is already in use. It's the same like before. It will say, no, you cannot use the same name. Why? Because I have the same file created here. And the file system of Windows, that's something important for any file system, not only for Windows. It doesn't allow the same names. Okay? And we said, because in Windows, let's try it. You see, this one is new virtual disk. You see, every word is starting with capital letter. Well, let's try to do new with small letters. Virtual disk 1. And let's click again, create. The same thing, because the system is not case sensitive. For it doesn't matter, capital, small, wherever. If I would have done this in Linux though, it won't give me a problem, because it will be a different thing then. Okay, so that you need to acknowledge as a difference between the different between different file systems, what we've been talking now. Okay, so what I'm going to do in that case, I'm going to call it 2. Okay, I'll click create, and it will appear right away. Now, let's see how we delete disks. Well, I click on this. You see it says here, if I right click actually on it, it says remove the attachment. So that's the new virtual disk 2. This is the file. Okay, notice what will happen when I right click and do remove attachment. It has been removed, but you see it's still here. So if I would like to put it back, well, very easy. I just click on the controller, new hard drive. Now I'm going to choose an existing disk because I already have it. Okay, I'm going to go add. I'll go to my D drive and the VirtualBox VMSs. It was in new group, remember, Windows 10, and here it is. Okay, the disk is still here. I'll do open, do choose, and it's back. So right click on it to remove it. If you remove it from below, it won't be there anymore. Okay, so that's how we attach disks. That's how we attach this. Now let's start. Well, you cannot attach disks while the system is on, but that's not correct. You see here it says hot pluggable. You see this one? Well, hot pluggable means you could attach disk while the machine is working. This is the way like most of the servers are working. Most of the servers, they have their disk in front. So while they're working, if you have an indication there, if it shows that the disk is corrupted and it's off, what you do, you just go, you remove the disk while the server is working, you put the new disk which is already prepared there, and you put it back. And in certain, well, we're going to speak about this, what is a RAID, okay? This will actually preserve the information, even though 1 or 2 or 3 of the disks are off. So the information still will be there. So you put 1 or 2 or 3 or wherever disk has been off, you put them back, the new ones. And in a certain amount of time, everything will be restored on these disks. So this is the hot pluggable technology. You don't need to stop to do the thing. It's the same with the network cards. Either some of them you could change inside other, like RAM memory, like processors, and so on and so forth. Okay? This is what is the hot pluggable. It's very powerful technology, specifically for the servers, and obviously it's expensive. Okay? Any questions? Now the next thing. Let's start our machine now and to see what will happen. So we start our virtual machine. Now this machine, I'll put my name and password. I'm there. Now what I could do, I'm going to open my file manager. That will happen if you do it on a real machine. The same thing. You click on the file manager. And I'm going to go to this PC. Okay? You see, I don't see the other disk which I just added. And I don't see them because there is no file system on them. And the system here, the operating system, cannot recognize them. Cannot. And I'm going to do eject on my CD here. Now, I'm going to show it to you in this movie, several locations you need to remember right away. Locations on a client computer. On the servers, they will be almost the same. And you could find them almost in the same way. So, the first one and the most, well, one of the most important ones, well, it's not the first one, but one of the most important ones. When you open the file manager, you go this PC. In the way you see the shortcuts, the folders, you see the network location, and you see the devices and drivers. You see, I have one CD, which is my virtual CD, remember. Now, what you do, you go to this PC, right-click on this, and you do manage. You could do it in 10 different ways. For me, I think that's, for people who just starting, it's the easiest one to remember. Because you have other ones we're going to go through. So you go manage. So right-click on this PC and you go manage. It's opening something which is called the management, Windows Management Console. So, computer management, okay, also called. This computer management, you see it has system tools and it has a storage. Now that's what we are interested in the moment. We go to the disk management, which is just beneath the storage. And also you have services and applications, the last thing here. So I click on disk management and I'm expecting to see my disk. Here it is now, okay? I see my C drive, okay? But I also see these two disks. And it says, you must initialize a disk before logical disk manager can access it, okay? So there is no way this disk to be seen by the system if you don't do this first, okay? And there are two ways we organize them. The master boot record or the GUID partition table. This is the oldest way. It's working with BIOS, okay? The one which I showed it to you. The new way is the GPT. It supports much larger files and much larger disks, okay? And it is working with, so I just did this so you guys to do the research at home for the people who are interested to see what is BIOS and what is UEFI. But most of the time, if you choose MBR, that means your system will boot from BIOS. Okay? If you choose the GPT, your system, that's the new way the systems, these computers are prepared in this way as well. They're using the UEFI or the FIOs. Okay, so this thing, for us, for now, we're going to choose the old way, or also called legacy way. We're going to choose the master boot record. It's much easier to work for newbies, at least in the beginning. So we do OK. So we want both this to be initialized. So if I choose only one of them, or only one of them will be initialized. OK, so do OK. And now you see these disks here. These are the 5 GB disks. They has been initialized, but still, I mean, it shows a black color here. They're still not ready to be seen. If I open my file system again, I still don't see these hard drives. You see, I don't see. I see them into this console, computer management console, the disk management, but that's all. I cannot do anything. Now, I need to right-click on them, and I need to say New Simple Volume. So that's the way we're going to introduce the file system on them. Then it will be a short, very easy to work with wizard. You do new. This is the maximum what you could use. Well, you could use less than this if you want, but there is no sense actually. So use the full capacity. It's asking to assign a letter. Well, you need to check. If you don't check, it will say, it will complain. But you see, E is not taken. So no problem. It will take E as a letter for the first drive. Okay. You could do something else, but for now we're not going to discuss it. Just the letter is important, and as well as you could use every other letter which is free. A and B by default, system recognizes them as floppy disk drives. Even though for more than 10 years no one is using floppy disk drives, they're still there. You could use A and B. It's better to use them just in case, in the last case, not now. Okay, so choose wherever the system proposes you. Do next. Here it is. Format the volume with the following settings. So we need to format this volume, and you have several choices, FAT32 or NTFS. We said we're going to choose NTFS. Allocation unit size we're not going to discuss. You just click the default. If you would like to call it something, well, I could say disk 1. That's just a name. Perform a quick format is very important, because otherwise it will take hours sometimes to format. This one is better do not use for now, because it's giving some bugs from time to time, especially on the VirtualBox. So whatever is the default, we use it. If we don't change the name of the volume, we could do it after this, or we could leave it like it. I'll do next, and it's done. It's giving me what it's supposed to be doing. I'll click finish, and you see now it's formatting, and it's already done. And it changes the color, and now it's accessible. If I click here, I open folder to view the files, and eventually I'm gonna see, well, I opened the folder itself. So if I go one up here, my disk 1 just appeared. Okay, and we do the same for the other one. Right click, New Simple Volume, next, next. Well, the next letter is F. Next. Oh, that will be this too. I'll do next, finish, and here it is. This too. So I have 2 disks which I could use now. Easy busy. Okay, that's the same way you do it on a real machine. No change at all. That's exactly the same way. Any questions, guys? Now, the next time we're going to speak what is a basic disk. You see on that side here, it says basic. If I click here, I could convert to dynamic disk. We're going to see what it is and how we use it. Okay, we're going to see, as I mentioned, how we're going to use the USB devices to boot, and we're going to emulate it here into the VirtualBox, which is a little bit tricky, but we don't have others, so we do it here. And we're going to speak what is a volume and what is a partition, and how we could partition these disks, and how we could combine them in something which is called redundant array of inexpensive disks, RAID also called. Okay, any questions, guys? Now Just to show you very fast here in the computer management, something which maybe will be interesting, and for sure we're gonna go to the end of the course, is local users and groups. Please notice and remember right now, local. These are local to the system. These are local to our system users. So this is the users, and there are groups. We use groups to combine users by the same features. So if I want 1,000 people to do the same thing on the system, the easiest way is to create a group, to apply all of this thing on the group, and afterwards to move the people inside, the users inside. So that's why we're creating the groups. Okay, the users, when I click on this, here's the administrator, as I mentioned. The default super user of the system, as you see, guys, there is a small arrow here on the icon which shows it is disabled. Well, the easiest way to see this is right-click, Properties, and it says here, Account is disabled. Okay, I could go Member of, but all of this we're gonna do in a separate class. And here my user ascend. That's the user ascend which access the system. And if I would like to check it in another way, if I open the file manager, this PC, C drive, where are I supposed to go now? Users, yes. And by the way, we just installed this system. You see, these are the system folders here, which has been created with the system. Program files, these are the all the files which we install 32-bit. These are all the files we install, all the programs we install 64-bit. These are every user which has been logged in at least once to the system. In my case, it's Ascend. Public is always there. Windows, all the other files and folders which are needed by the system to work. And we have some for performance logs, for performance logs to be there. And also, if I click on View, I could see also the hidden items. You see here, if I click on this one, I will see here the program data folder just appear, and as you see, it's kind of blurred, which means it's hidden. Well, it's hidden for purpose. Okay, people do not open it because there are some important things inside, which are important to the system. Okay, so that's the way we navigate through the file system. And if I click here into the white space, here it is again. If I click here on this bar into the white space, it shows me exactly what we have there, C:\\. That's the root of the Windows file system, the letter C. Any questions? Okie dokie. So users, here they are, we're gonna have special class for them. Shared folders, also, all the folders which could be accessible by the other users remotely, okay? Also called UNC. We're gonna speak, there will be a separate class for this. Only to mention here, $. $. means when a person from a remote system tries to access this device, my root of my file system, it is not visible right away. The person's supposed to use $. After this, so to see it. Okay, $. means hidden, but we're gonna go and do this into specific class. We're gonna have a class. So these are some of the most important thing here. You could see the performance of the system. That's why this guy is here. Device manager, all the devices has there. Here, these are all of my devices on my system. If I would like to go, let's say processor, click on the processor, right click, and I'll do properties. I'm gonna see the drivers, the small programs we've been talking about. And I could update the driver, I could delete it, I could implement new one if I want, and so on and so forth. Okay? I have details, and I have general information and stuff like that. And that's for any device which we have attached to the motherboard and attached through the USB as well. Okay? Or if we would have CDs and so on and so forth, they would have been here. The important thing once again is something called drivers. When you right click and do proper, this is the small programs which helped the computer to recognize all the devices which are attached. Why? Well, there are millions of providers of this thing, and if you would like to work with all of them, well, there is a way, there's supposed to be a way they to say to the system, well, I'm from this provider and I would like to work with you. So these small programs are provided by the providers, and they help the device to start working with the system. If this device is burned out and you buy a new one to replace it, well, obviously the driver is supposed to be from the new provider. Okay? So the small program which comes with this thing and which is needed, it's related to the provider. Nowadays, we don't do this. It comes right away with the Windows operating system. Before this, about 10, 15 years ago, most of the things you install, either USB, either well, before the DVDs, the floppy disk drives. Nowadays with USBs, well, don't get me wrong, sometimes, most of the times today when you have a new printer, or if you have some specific camera, phone, or some specific things which are not recognizable by the system, if you would like to use them on the system, you still need drivers. And nowadays people just go find out the model and go and download it from internet. That's how it goes today. The system itself, if it doesn't find something, it's doing updates regularly, and these updates, basically, it will find out the needed driver 99% of the cases, and it will install by themselves. That's why it's so easy today, even for Linuxes and Unix, which were nightmare before. Okay, so this is about the drivers. The performance, we said we could see the performance of the system. Event viewer, we could see what events are happening. And the task scheduler, we could schedule tasks automatically to start on a certain period of time or certain time. All of this computer management, please remember, local. It is only to this piece of metal. It's not for this one. There is a way it's to be applied to all of them, but we need a server for this. Client server. This is peer-to-peer, workgroup. Okay, well, when I say workgroup, let's go to the second most important part or place where we need to know how to go when we get to the system. Again, this PC, right click again on it, below to the bottom where it says properties. We click on the properties and we see information about our system. It's Windows 10. It's an enterprise and it is evaluation. It says this. You see when it has been produced. It says that it has been activated. Okay, it has been activated. That's very important information. Now it says the processor, what it is. It says how much memory I have, RAM. What is the system type? I see it's a 64-bit system. Okay, very important thing. And I see the computer name. That's the name of the computer. And I see it's part of the workgroup. It is peer-to-peer. Any operating system, Windows, Linux, wherever I install, initially it's peer-to-peer. After this, if you would like to introduce kind of domain or whatever they call it on the other operating systems, you need to do specifically something on servers and afterwards to join kind of these clients to the servers. So it's a procedure. It's not very easy. Any questions? So if you would like to see how the domain looks, I'm going to show it to you on my real computer here. I'll open this guy. I'll do right click on this PC the same way what I did just to show it to you. Here it is. That's on my real computer, right? And then I'm going to go and see what it says. Now it don't say anymore. It doesn't say anymore workgroup. Now it says domain and it says soho.lcl. Okay, in your case, guys, if you open it, you're going to see it will say isimtl.local, if I'm not mistaken. But it will say domain, which means our computers has been joined to the domain, and now they interact with the server into the client-server communication type. Okay. Okay. And some other thing, just to show it to you for the movie here. I see people are tired already, but I need to show. The device manager, here what I see on the left side is exactly the device manager which I showed it to you here on the on the console. It's exactly the same, which is this one. Okay. Now, if I click on any other of the other tabs, remote settings, system protection, advanced system settings, I'm going to see the same thing. So I'll click on remote settings. I'm going to see the system properties of the system itself. And I see these tabs here. You see remote, well, that's the remote settings. I see system protection, here's the system protection. I see advanced system settings, well, that's advanced. And I see device manager, well, this would be the hardware where it says, okay? And there is one which I don't see here, which is the computer name. When I click on it, I see again the computer name. I see a workgroup is a part of workgroup, but here the important thing, if I click on change, I could change the name of my computer and I could join to a domain. If I click here, and if I would have now a domain controller server, I could put the name here and I would have been able to join it, but unfortunately I don't have such. But I could change the name. I could put here something like test, okay? And when I'm changing a name of computer, always I need to reboot, okay? So when I click, I will be prompted to reboot it. Otherwise the name won't be changed, okay? I'll click OK. I'm gonna close it. Well, before I close it, I'll go to hardware. Here's the device manager. Exactly the same thing. What we see, sorry, what we see here, exactly the same thing. That's just another way to do it. Okay. In advanced options, for now, we're gonna skip all of this. These are the user profiles. All the profiles which I showed it to you in users, I could delete them from here. If I click here, here it is a send. I could delete it. And you see it says my computer name /ascend. If it was a domain, it's supposed to be the domain name here instead. Okay? We're going to speak about this the next time. That's a way we log into the system or log into remote systems. Okay? And we have startup and recovery. In the system protection, we could protect the system for a certain way, and remote, we could allow people to access our system remotely. So I'm gonna do apply. It will ask me to restart. I will restart later. This is the second very most important, let's say, place where you need to know. The third one, I'll click on the start button and I'll start writing down control. This is the control panel. When I open the control panel, here's how it looks. It's giving me organize all of the things which are interested to me initially by category. But I could choose large icons, small icons. I'm going to use large icons because I don't see very well. These are all the things which are inside. Well, the system properties which I just showed it to you and the computer management, they're part of this thing. So that's the unified way you to access everything, actually what I just showed it to you, plus million of other stuff from the control panel. Okay, you could access this one and you could access the other one which I just showed it to you, this one as well, from here. The system properties, no problem. You just need to find out how to do it from here. And you could access million and million of other stuff here. Okay, one of the important ones, if I go back to the category view, it's the same thing, just it looks more organized. Well, one of the things is if you would like to uninstall a program, you click on this, uninstall a program, and you could uninstall some of the programs you have. With the back arrow, you could go back. If you click on the programs itself, it will give you everything what is included here. And you could even turn Windows features on and off. That's important if you would like to add some additional features which are not allowed at the moment on the system. Okay? And you could go to the system and security, Windows Firewall. This is the program which protects our computer locally from malicious software and malicious people. And we could stop it. So just for our lab, we stopped it, for our labs. So to be sure that we could work without any interruptions. Otherwise, the default one, to be notified if something's supposed to go through the firewall, it's a local firewall, okay? it's a good idea to stay like this. Okay? And the fourth place, which is very briefly, I'm going to show it to you. It will be part of other classes, is this small icon here. All of this you could access through different ways. But I'm showing to you how to do it from the graphical interface, the fast, and from my experience, the easiest for the students to start with. This small computer here, right click on it, open Network and Sharing Center. These are all the networking settings and sharing settings you could do from this menu and the menu below. We're gonna work on this the next time. And really the last one, okay? If you click on the start button and you write down CMD, you're gonna open the command prompt. Now, the command prompt, if I open it like this, it's opening as an ordinary user. If I would like to do something which wants me to be an administrator, I need to do CMD, I need to go to it, right click, and to do run as administrator. And I told you guys, if you want to run as a different user, not as you, not as an administrator, as a third user, which most of the time, as you see in our case, is very important. What you do, so you go here, you write down, let's say CMD, you go to the program you want to open, you click Control Shift, and you do right click. Now, I need to pin it to the start or to the taskbar first. Here it is. I just pinned it to my taskbar. Okay? So I'm going to close this too, and it will remain here, right? Now I'll do Control Shift and right click on the taskbar. Well, first I'm going to do right click only. You see, it doesn't show too many things, so I'm going to right click on this. Run as administrator, that's what it shows. But if I do Control Shift and right click now, I could run as a different user. And if I click like this, I could do it. And you see now it says domain. That's my computer name. Let me just double check again. Is that my computer name? Here it is. Right click, properties, and here's the computer name. Desktop-0NF-CK5. Here it is. This is the one. So it shows me that's my domain. I'm locally on my computer. If I would like to access a domain here now, I need to do, let's say, if it's ISI MTL, I need to do ISI MTL /, and the moment I do it, you see it shows now the domain below. If you don't know the name of the computer, you just do dot and the /, and you see it will write it for you. Okay, these are small tricks, but very, very important people to start. I'm doing movie with them just because of this. Now, guys,